Seeing goblins. Appreciating goblins. Succubus with goblins.
And we don't want no problems. Okay, you're a goon. What's a goon?
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podgoblins, where we're going to be goblin on these nuts tonight. We're really excited because as you guys are listening to this, it is Friday the 13th. So obviously we're going to do Friday the 13th, but before we get into that, Jaden, how you doing there, bitch?
I'm doing good, buddy. I started a new internship, and I've been doing that while I've been...
Are you a gimp?
yeah, dude.
Okay.
I've been doing that while I've been watching all 57 of the Friday the 13th movies, so... What about you? How you been?
There's actually 69 of them, so I'm kind of disappointed in you. But you know what? This I need to take a minute really quick before we get into the episode. Just to say, because this is the first content that's going to go on my channel since, I got all sappy with everybody. Guys, as we're sitting here 24 hours after I posted the link and posted the video, I just checked. We're $100 away from $5,000, which honestly exceeded all of my expectations. I never thought it would. It wasn't even my goal. I didn't put that. I think I set the goal at like initially 15, and it just kept going up when more and more people donated. And that's honestly been really cool and overwhelming in a good way. I don't know how to process it. I don't know how to begin to thank everybody. It's been a lot. But you guys have given me the breathing room that's going to be necessary to see this process through all the way and to not have to stress and worry about finances throughout this situation. And that's invaluable. Like I can't put that into words. So I just wanted to thank each and every one of you guys, whether you donated to the campaign or not, just to like reach out to me and offer your words of encouragement. And it meant the world to me. So I sincerely thank each and every one of you guys. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that at the top here, because this has just blown my mind, honestly. So yeah. So enough of that crap. Jaden, we're here today to talk about Friday the 13th as a franchise. We are doing our retrospective on the series, and we're going to have some thoughts. They're going to be a little unconventional, and might piss some people off. So before we get into it, I just want to ask you, what was it like to revisit the series for you?
This one's always pretty fun to rewatch. I think once you start getting into the Jason films, I can binge those like it's nothing, and it brings me back to being a kid watching like on the Sci-Fi Channel or AMC and like watching these movies back to back to back. Yeah, most of them are fun. I like most, so I had a good time.
Now, I don't want you to tell me which one, if any, is the case here, but I am just curious. Are there any of these movies where you are like, I really dislike this one? And like, are there any that you are not looking forward to revisiting?
There's one.
Don't
maybe
tell me
two.
what it is.
I won't tell you. There's one, maybe two, that I'm not typically excited to rewatch, but I don't hate it. I just don't love it.
Okay, well then let's kick this off. Let's hit the ground running with probably the least controversial of all of them, right? And that is the original Friday the 13th from 1980. Jaden.
Yeah, man.
I'll just give you the floor here and tell me about your experience with this movie and where you sit with it today.
So, as a kid, I used to watch all the movies with Jason because I would that character is synonymous with the franchise. I hadn't watched the original Friday the 13th until I was probably like 18 or 19, and I'd watched all the other ones as a kid. Um, I had heard, oh, this one doesn't have Jason. Like, it's his mom that's the killer, and I thought that was weird. So it kind of put me off from it for a long time. And I finally watched it a couple of years ago, and I've rewatched it maybe 3 or 4 times since. And yeah, man, it's boring. This is the most boring Friday the 13th movie. It is just, I think it was the right place, right time for why this became such a hit, because there are so many Jason ripoffs or just Friday the 13th ripoffs that happen after that are so much better. Yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead.
well,
Tell me what you think.
Before everybody in the comments is all like,
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
let me just say, Friday the 13th is, again, another movie that I grew up on in my household. My mom adores this movie. And so I saw this movie probably around the same time that I saw Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street. I was a little kid. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how old I was. I could give you a time frame, but I was young. And I remember as a kid being like, oh, that's kind of boring. And why did my mom always say, like, she's always talking about this guy named Jason? I'm like, who the fuck's Jason? Was it that Mongoloid at the very end? Like,
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, okay, I'm supposed to like dig this and respect it. Then as I became a teenager, I did respect the original movie for sure. And I dug it well enough. And like you, in my adult years now, it's not one I revisit a ton. And I'll just go ahead and say, before anybody, blows up and says that we're being unfair or unkind to the franchise. Look, this movie is a classic for a reason. I'm not going to take that away from this movie. This is not a bad film. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you it's a bad film. I'd be lying. It's not a bad film. The thing about Friday the 13th, though, is it's very... Halloween is slow, but I feel like there's this air of menace over that entire movie. Even when you don't see Michael Myers or hear about Michael Myers, you always feel like he's out there. He's looming. In Friday the 13th, I only feel that way when we get the killer's POV. There's not this suspense hanging over the entire movie. And again, that's, guys, we're talking about John Carpenter. Like, that dude's a master at crafting suspense in the most simplistic ways. Like, tension is his specialty. So I didn't feel it as much here with Friday the 13th, but also I don't think that Friday the 13th utilized its budget as well as Halloween did. They were both really low budget movies, but I don't know. Am I crazy to say that I feel like Halloween looks far more respectable than Friday the 13th?
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Okay.
Yeah. You're right. This isn't a bad movie, but I don't think it's a great movie either. So when people try to tell me that, I never got with that. I think it's an okay movie. And the thing with Friday the 13th is, like you were saying, it doesn't really have a ton of suspense. It's a bit more schlocky. Even if I don't know the actual budgets, but even if it had a similar budget to Halloween, it feels way cheaper. And it feels like a cheap Halloween knockoff at times, which I know it was kind of supposed to be.
No, it wasn't just supposed to be. They explicitly said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it feels like it. You can feel it. There's no time where I feel tense. Some of the kills are all right. You don't give a shit about any of the characters in this movie. Like, not a single one. Even the final girl, I don't really care about her. It's pretty much just Mrs. Voorhees at the end. That's any sort of entertainment from any... Oh, Crazy Ralph, my bad. Crazy Ralph's dope too. But I don't hate it, but this is probably like a 2.5 for me, if I'm being honest. Like, a very average rating, because I just think it's kind of an average slasher and it is a classic, and it pushed the slasher genre places that it wasn't going to go if it didn't come out. But yeah, just a little bland for my taste.
Yeah, and I respect this movie. I actually think I'm a little kinder to this movie than Jaden is. Maybe that's because I'm an older fogey. So, but I definitely agree that I just don't think it's. Let's just say it's not a surprise why almost no Friday the 13th fan puts this as their number one. Like, almost no fan. This is not the consensus fan favorite. You would actually probably find people that would be more surprised if you told them, like, oh, yeah, this is my favorite. They're probably like, what? Really? Out of all of them? So for me, Friday the 13th, I give it 3.5. I mean, like, I respect this movie more. I like this movie. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and you know, smoke the devil's lettuce like Jaden does and talk shit about it. So that's where I'm at with Friday the 13th. But let's be honest, man. Friday the 13th hit its stride when what? Jason Voorhees came in. Like, that's just the way it is. So we get to Friday the 13th part 2. Where were you at when you first saw it? Where are you at now with this movie?
So when as a kid, like when you hear about and see Jason Voorhees, you typically see the hockey mask, right? So, and when, you know, AMC would do marathons, sometimes they'll change the actual order. So as a kid, it was a little bit confusing because I'm like, what the hell is the lore here? Like which one goes when? But it was after some of, I think 3, 4, and 5 maybe that I had seen Halloween 2. Halloween, fuck me. Friday the 13th part 2. I got Halloween on the brain. It's my favorite. Friday the 13th part 2. And I've always loved this movie, man. It's ever since I was a kid, it goes by super quick. I can't remember if it is the shortest one, but it feels like the shortest one to me. Like anytime I watch this, it feels like it's like an hour and 10 minutes and I'm out of there. Yeah. And I kind of appreciate that. But this is one of my favorite ones to revisit. What about you?
So again, you guys have heard this a lot when we've done retrospectives, which I'm really, really, really excited to get into the Halloween retrospective this October, guys. And I think that episode is going to be like 3 hours long. So look forward to that one. But this is another one that my mom was like, oh, this is a good one. You know, the original and the sequel, like watch those two. I'm starting to notice a trend that I think my mom always said that, not because it was the first one and the first sequel. So like normally those are good, right? No, those are the ones she saw in theaters. And then when she fell off after that into her early adulthood and didn't see the other ones in theaters. That's probably why she only recommends these ones, because she hasn't seen any of the other ones. So Friday the 13th part 2 was one that from the minute I saw it, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's better than the first one. Tater Sack Jason, as Pizal would call him, he's a demon. He's a demon. He's a legend. I think it's one of the more menacing portrayals of Jason Voorhees, just in his style, his brutality. He's very animalistic. This is very animalistic. It just seems like impulse that this character is acting on. And I really, really dig that. You know, it's got one of the better final girls in the series. I'll definitely say that. I actually love the opening. I know it pissed some fans off, at least at the time, that you would bring Adrienne King back and then just kill her. Like, people were like, what the hell? I'm cool with it. Like, I didn't care for her much in the first movie. This isn't Laurie Strode or Sidney Prescott. Kill her. Whatever. I don't give a shit. And the opening to part 2, I would say it's iconic. Like, I love that opening. And with the fridge and everything. It's just great. So it's one that I've always really, really dug. I think it's one of the stronger Friday films. Got one of the best kills in the series with the wheelchair guy. I'm going to go a solid 4.5 out of 5 on this one. I really am.
Hell yeah. I'll probably go 4, but I love this movie. I think this has some of the best side characters, like people that you really like the guy in the wheelchair and the girl who likes him. They have a cute relationship. The comedy guy's actually funny in this one. Ginny's probably the best final girl in the series. And I think this has the most realistic portrayal of Jason, like as a human. Like he feels he's running around. All he has is the thing over his face. Like he gets his ass kicked a couple times, but he comes back. But yeah, it's such a good movie, and this is typically one of the ones that I show people if I'm showing them a Friday the 13th.
It's a comfort movie for sure. I also think it's a really, really just, I don't know. I think it's a really good intro to the series personally.
Yeah.
So yeah, we both find Friday the 13th Part 2 to be solid. Now I'm going to take the reins starting with Part 3 before you give your spiel on it. And I just want to say that
Buddy.
I don't remember seeing Part 3 at a really young age. I really don't. I don't think I saw Part 3 till I was a teenager. And I've talked before how, one of my best friends growing up, Tommy, this was his favorite series. So, I saw it because of him. And I never saw much love and like admiration for Part 3. And I was like, yo, I dug the shit out of that. Like I really, really liked Part 3. And then as time went on, Part 3 became my favorite Friday the 13th movie. And like, as I sit here today, I can say, yeah, this is my favorite Friday the 13th movie. There's a lot to love about this movie. Yeah, it has its quirks, like the very, very obvious 3D gimmicks that do not age well at all. But again, that's kind of the charm. I think that Dana Kimmel as Chris she's my favorite final girl in the series. Like she is slept on. Now, don't get me wrong. I agree with everybody. That weird side plot of Jason trying to do stuff to her in like a flashback. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. But I love Chris as the lead here. I don't dislike Shelley. A lot of people say, like, people will compare Shelley to Franklin. I think it's because they're both like chubby, like annoying guys. But the difference is Franklin's just loud and grates on me. Whereas like Shelley is just like that nerdy guy, like he means well. He's got a good heart. He's really not that annoying. I kind of like Shelley. There's great kills in this movie. I specifically think of the harpoon. I love that kill.
Yeah.
But the thing about this movie that sticks out to me is the third act. I think the third act is just primo. In the barn, you've got Jason hissing at the window and running after her. You got her just laughing all the way to the loony bin in the back of the car. Like, I love Part 3. I genuinely think this movie is fantastic. So I'll just go ahead right now and say this is a perfect 5 for me.
Wow.
It's my favorite Friday the 13th movie. But you go ahead.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, this one really doesn't get talked about that much. And again, like you, I don't think I had seen this one until way later, and I never realized it. Like, I was showing my girlfriend all these movies, and I'm like, I've seen bits of this movie, but I don't think I've ever... Girlfriend, right? I don't think I've ever...
Dude, it's June. Just
oh, yeah, I can admit it now, sure. I don't think I've ever actually sat through this until I showed her. And it was... It didn't really dawn on me yet. Like, I was kind of like, this was okay. I didn't love it. But this last rewatch, dude, agree. This movie is fucking fantastic. It is by far the creepiest Friday the 13th movie. Like, Jason is awful in this
he's
movie
a demon
in the best ways. Yeah.
He's a demon snake, dude. Like, he's just... Yeah.
He's super creepy in this movie. Like, when he's looking through the window and then he runs out to her, like, that's so fucking scary. Like, I don't care who you are. I also love the final girl and Shelley. All the side characters, the weird like 40-year-old stoner couple are hilarious. And the worst.
Shit. Oh man,
there's
a lot of shitting in this movie too. The dude at the beginning gets scared and then has to go take his shit.
Yeah, some of the best kills, and then of course probably the most iconic part of the movie is him finally getting his mask. There's just so many good bits though. Like when he gets hung and like he smiles and like takes the noose off of his neck, like it's so cool. I'm gonna go 4. Same rating as Part 2 because I do love both of these movies a lot. but part 2 gets the edge a little bit for me.
Well, great. Thanks for just telling me, not saving the suspense for the ranking at the end.
You said it was your favorite, so shut up.
Yeah, but everybody knows that about me. I have talked about that for a while, but whatever.
Well,
all right. We both like part 3. That's really
Yeah.
all that matters to me. If you were about to shit on part 3, I was going to shit on you. And then we get to everybody's favorite, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which, guys, I don't know if you've noticed this by now, but literally every horror franchise ever that says a movie is the final chapter, it is never, ever the final chapter.
Nope.
I thought we were past that point, and we're still not, because just about a decade ago, Resident Evil, they did the final chapter. I guess that technically counts because that was the end of the Mia Jovovich series, but it's not the last Resident Evil movie. So look, the final chapter, man, is one that I don't remember seeing as a kid at all. This is just like part 3. Yeah, I don't remember seeing this movie at all. Obviously was very, very familiar with Corey Feldman. I grew up a big fan of The Lost Boys. So that was my immediate, The Lost Boys, Goonies, those 2 movies. I knew of Corey Feldman at a very, very young age. But I didn't know he was in this movie. Never seen this movie. I guess I thought, even as a smaller boy, if it's got the final chapter subtitle, it probably sucks. Most of those suck. Crazy how your opinion on that changes after 20 years. But so I watched this again as a teenager for the first time with my buddy Tommy. He had told me that this was the best one, and this is the consensus fan favorite. If you polled 100 Friday the 13th fans, 90 of them would probably say the final chapter is the best one. This is the Dream Warriors of the Friday the 13th series. And there's a lot of good reasons for that. First of all, Ted White is fantastic as Jason. I mean, he's a great Jason. I really like the look of Jason in this movie. I like Corey Feldman as Tommy. I really, really like Trish. I wouldn't say I like her as much as Chris. I don't, but I like Trish in this movie. There's some great kills in this movie. There's some great gags in this movie. This is when you really started to see the money these movies had been making show up on screen. You could tell there was a little bit more money behind this movie. Love the locations, love the look of this movie. But there's just something about it. Maybe it's because it's lacking the nostalgia for me. It's never really been my personal favorite. I'd have to really think about it. It's definitely top 5. It might be top 3. I guess we'll decide that at the end of this video. But it's a super, super solid movie. And I know I'm underselling it by giving it 4 out of 5 because I know people adore this movie, but I'm going to give it a 4. And Jaden, the floor is yours, my friend.
So the final chapter was definitely one of the ones I watched as a kid, and I always had nostalgia for it. And it was one that I always loved rewatching. But honestly, dude, after this past rewatch, I kind of felt it might be a bit overrated. And that's not to say that it's not a good Friday the 13th movie, because it definitely is. But the beginning is really slow. The first maybe half of the movie is very slow. There's not much happening, and there's not much interesting happening. I think it's once that back half picks up that it really, that's the part that I remembered as a kid loving. Crispin Glover's hilarious and great in this as one of the side characters.
Shout out Crispin Glover. Can't believe I didn't mention him. Yep.
He's so awesome. The family dynamic is great. Yeah, Jason's look is great. But I don't know, man. It's not fun all the way through like I remembered it being. And that shocked me when I watched it on this last rewatch. I'm like, there's actually a lot of filler. Why does that random chick with the banana get killed in a 3-minute sequence for no reason?
Gotta up the body count, bro.
Yeah. And it's not even a great kill. It's just her squishing a banana. But I don't know.
I could use my banana squished.
Yeah, you could, buddy. This is I'm gonna go 3.5 here.
Ooh, you are gonna be getting the shit again on this episode. I'm excited.
I know, dude.
Some people are probably like, you know what? Nick's been pretty fair, I think. Even as not a big lover of this series, he's been pretty fair. But Jaden, my God, he's I don't want to say the name because YouTube might get mad at me. Let's just say he was a big fan of the he was the leader of the Third Reich.
Oh Jesus.
Anyway, so all right. So then we get to a new era of Friday the 13th. We get to Friday the 13th, part 5, a new beginning. Now, this is an interesting one because I did see this one before I saw 3 and 4. I know that for a fact because nothing. I think one of my awakenings in life was Debbie Sue Voorhees. Like, I think that did things to me. I knew in that moment, I like boobs. But it was more than that. This movie, and obviously now having watched Crystal Lake Memories and just all the behind the scenes of this movie felt so dirty and wrong and vile. And it's like, oh yeah, because the director was a porn director that was trying to direct this like it was actually a porno. So that's cool. But the kills in this movie, I think, are really mean-spirited. Shout out to the MPAA for just being dildos and ruining some of it, but there's still some great kills in this movie. Tommy sucks in this movie. He is an awful character. I hate him in this movie. There are some sequences in this movie that make no sense. Like no sense at all, to where you're just like, what the fuck is going on? He was just asking if you want a chocolate bar. You hacked him up with an axe. Like there's some stuff. But let me tell you something. I love Roy. I don't care what anybody says. I love Roy. I love the mask. I really do love the mask in this. I like that variation a lot. Aside from Tommy, I have a pretty good time with a lot of these characters. I don't know, man. I think part 5's pretty solid. Like, even if just for Roy, the kills, and Debbie Sue Voorhees's melons, I'm giving this a 3. I am.
All right, man. Yeah, so as for my history with this movie, I remember specifically, God, I can't remember the name right now, but Miguel Nunez's character. I remember Demon. I remember Demon specifically as a kid, and I don't know if that's because just the association with Return of the Living Dead or... Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Yeah. Yeah, great. But other than that, I didn't remember anything. So when I rewatched this movie with my partner,
he's in his head now. He's in his head about it.
With my partner. It was so fun, man. And rewatching it again, it's just such a funny, quirky movie. I think this has the best, goofiest side characters in the entire franchise. Like, Ethel and her son are hilarious. I love her so much. Like, all of her verbiage is just fantastic. I love the kid and his grandpa. I love the singing poop scene. And Demon. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of like cool relationships between characters.
I just saw your text.
Yeah.
I did. Anyway, go ahead.
And yeah, dude, Roy Burns is sick. He's not Jason, but he's a very cool killer.
Yeah.
Dude.
So you're a Roy fan. You're a Roy fan.
I'm a Roy fan. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm a Roy fan with you. I think I'm gonna go 3.5 here.
Oh wow. Okay. See, I thought I was being kind to it. And here you are just so
yeah, dude. It's awesome.
All right. Hell yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad that we both like it because although I will say I think this one has really grown in popularity since its release. I really do.
Yeah. I wonder if it had like the Halloween 3 effect where it technically didn't have the killer.
It's the titties.
Oh, okay.
Let's just be real. It's the titties. No, it is probably the Halloween 3 effect. I think a lot of people look down their noses at this movie for years because it wasn't Jason Voorhees. And then I think as time went on, other people were like, you know what? Maybe I need to give this one another chance. Like maybe I was a little too unfair and I just wrote it off because it wasn't technically Jason.
Yeah.
Because it's a solid movie. It is.
For sure.
All right. Well,
All right, man.
then we get to another one that's a fan favorite. My buddy Justin, he would tell you this is the best Friday the 13th movie. And he wouldn't be the only one. I've heard many a people argue that this is the best Friday the 13th movie. And that is part 6, Jason Lives. All right. So let me just say, Tom Matthews, massive upgrade for Tommy. Massive upgrade over 5.
Yeah.
So glad they went in a different direction here. The opening sequence, it kind of tells you from the very beginning, this is going to be a little fantastical, a little, I don't know, cartoonish at times, a little goofy. The resurrection of Jason, but it's fun. I dig it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, it is telling me from the beginning that this is what I'm getting. I really like Jennifer Cook as Megan. I think she's a good character in this too. I really like her and Tommy's relationship. I think there's some great kills in this movie. I think that Jason Lives was a little bit ahead of its time in being a little more of a self-aware horror movie. You didn't really see those yet. Obviously, Scream really popularized that. But this movie was a little ahead of its time. And I think that's why this one also took years for people to get into. Because it's very tonally different in a lot of ways than a lot of the Friday the 13th movies. But there's really a lot to like about this movie. Like I said, I like the cast. I really like the sheriff in this movie. I actually like him. You go from like hating this guy to by the end of the movie, you're like, damn it. Like I really didn't want him to die. CJ Graham, really good. Really, really good Jason. I wouldn't put him on the level of like Ted White, but I liked him a lot. Jason Lives is an interesting movie because it's so tonally different at times than the other Friday movies. It's not one that's ever been in my top 3. I'll go. This is hard. I'm like teetering between 3.5 and 4, and I just don't know where to go with it. I'm gonna go 4. I'm gonna go 4. But those are my thoughts. What are yours?
Yeah. This is the second most nostalgic Friday the 13th movie for me. We'll get to the other one. And I just love this movie as a kid. I loved it for the reason that it's not in your top 3 because it is so tonally different and it's very goofy. But I always dug that, and I like the meta-ness. Like I love the editing in a lot of these scenes. Like they'll just like have a funny one-liner and then it cuts to something else, and I think that's great. This is the best version of Tommy for sure. I love his relationship with the girl. They're a fun couple. And it's kind of cool to actually see kids at the camp for the first time, like 6 movies in. Like that was an interesting added bit of suspense because like when he walks into the room with all the kids and he like stares down the little girl and it looks like he's about to kill her, like that's an awesome scene. It has like one of my favorite openings of these films, and it has one of my favorite like Jason killings, I guess, like when he gets murdered at the end. Or murdered, not really, but I think I'm gonna go 4 because this might be my favorite.
This might be your favorite Friday movie. You gave it a 4. So spoiler, you're not giving any of these a 5?
No, I'm not giving any of them 5s, buddy.
You need Jesus or Satan. Like, okay. So that's interesting because I think you spoke a little more highly of it than I did, but we both landed on the same rating. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So then we get to, wow. One that it struggles to not be my least favorite in the series, but it's not. And that's Friday the 13th, part 7, The New Blood. All right. So I'm just going to say, first and foremost, I know this was the introduction of Kane Hodder as Jason Voorhees, and everybody was creaming in their khakis over it. Totally get it. He's a good Jason. Still think he's a little bit overrated, in my opinion. Never thought he was a fantastic Jason. Just my opinion, but whatever. This is an interesting movie because on the one hand, I really like Lar Park Lincoln as Tina. I really think that that's an interesting character. And I think the fact that she's like telekinetic is interesting. I liked the idea of like a Carrie versus Jason type thing. I actually thought that was kind of cool. I also don't hate the supporting cast in this movie, though I'm not going to make the argument that it's one of the strongest. I'm really not. However, I feel like this movie's opening is pretty nonsensical. I feel like its ending is pretty nonsensical. I think that there's a lot of filler in this movie because they didn't really like. I just don't think this was a movie that was ready to go before cameras yet, personally. And I really hate the MPAA for butchering this movie. This was the first one that they really got their hands on.
Yeah.
But I got to be honest, man. I just don't think narratively it flows all that well. I think there's a lot of moments in this movie that just make you kind of go like, huh? Like, even in the first 5 minutes of the movie, the total change of like, I hate you, Dad, to Daddy, no, I love you, don't die. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. There's just, this movie makes me cringe sometimes. So if you're a Friday Part 7 fan, I'm sorry, but I'm not. This is like a solid, it's a solid 2 for me.
Yeah, that's fair. This one I don't remember seeing as a kid because I think I would have remembered Carrie versus Jason. But the first time I ever watched it, I remember really digging it.
What that dog doing?
Dude, I don't know what she's doing. She's barking at somebody. Yeah, but when I rewatched it this time, I'm like, man, this movie is, like you were saying, it's a lot of filler. There's people running in the woods constantly. I don't give a shit about any of the characters outside of kinda Tina, and I only really care about her because she has cool powers. Well, cool, it's goofy as shit, but this is a movie that, in my mind, is a 2.5 that's bumped up to a 3 because the Jason and Tina fights are fucking incredible. Like, when you see his mask come off and that like, that's my favorite look of Jason, when he has his mask off and he looks super grotesque and rotted away and shit in all the fighting scenes, when he's on fire, when he's getting beat up and thrown through house roofs and stuff. Like, it's so fun. But that's the only fun part of the movie, really. And I don't love that it's like, oh, the abusive dad is the hero to save the day. It's like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
Hell no. I'm so good on that. Yeah, this is a 3-star movie for me. And it would have been a 2.5 if the fight scenes weren't so fun and the effects weren't so great.
You are more forgiving than I. Yeah, I just find the movie largely boring. And I don't think the same can be said for the next one. Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, I saw this movie at a young age. I think that this is one that a lot of people saw just because of the name. It's like,
yeah,
yo, what? Jason's going to take on New York City? No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Spoiler alert. But I remember watching this movie, even back in the day, and thinking, oh my God, that was awful. Like, that was booty butt cheeks. And then as I got older, I was like, you know what? This movie's not good, but it's fun. Like, it really is a fun time.
Yeah.
Forgive me, but this is leaps and bounds more rewatchable than Part 7. Like, it's just so much more fun.
Sure.
I like Rennie in this movie. I actually do. I like Kane Hodder as Jason in this movie. There's a ton of nonsensical plot points in this, just absolutely ridiculous ones. I don't know how basically a cruise ship kind of, just gets to Manhattan from a lake, whatever. We're not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
There's some great kills in this movie. There really are. This is one of the best looks for Jason. You know what? I'm going to give them credit, even though a lot of people shit on the fact that they were really just in Vancouver. I think they do a pretty good job capturing the seediness of downtown New York City. I do. I think that it's passable. And they did have a day or so where they shot some like exteriors so you could get Times Square and whatnot. But again, man, there's bad shit about this movie. And not the least of which is the mommy. Which, dude, fire me into the fucking sun. Like, just straight into the sun. But having said that, I have a really, really fun time with this movie. I can't deny that I do. But it's not a good movie. So I'll let it rest at a 2.5. That's where I'm at with it.
So I had alluded to it before, but this is my most nostalgic Friday the 13th movie. And maybe that's because it was the one that was free on demand all the time. But I rewatched this movie like 30 times as a kid, and I was just drawn to it. And I think it's because, one, it has the best poster in the franchise, so just seeing that makes you want to watch the movie because it's so fucking cool. I love the boat setting, and I know a lot of people hate it, but it's different for Friday the 13th, and to see Jason on a big-ass boat. And then when he's in New York, I mean, that shot of him in New York City, when he's looking at all the lights and all the signs, like, that's one of the best just images in a horror movie ever. But yeah, dude, I guess the closest comparison I could make for me is this kind of reminds me of Halloween 5, because this is one that was shat on by a lot of people for years. And I think, like, I've seen people start to come around on it, and Halloween 5 is a much better movie. Trust me. But they both have like goofy, weird shit in them. People hated them for the longest time. A lot of people still do. Like, there are people where if you ask them now, they'll say Halloween 5 is a piece of shit. But I love this movie. They are absolutely wrong. Great movie. But I don't know, man. I love this
10
movie.
out of 10, no notes.
I'm gonna be more generous than you here. I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Well, that's purely fueled by nostalgia, my friend.
Oh yeah, I'll admit that. It is.
It's, Christian put it really well a while ago, where he was like, similarly, no, he likes this movie more than Freddy's Dead. I won't put the two together like that, but he said it's not a good movie, but it's so fucking fun. And it's just like, one of my favorite kills in the entire series, and again, butchered by the MPAA, is that like lava rock kill in the sauna. That thing could have been so beautifully gory if the MPAA didn't have dicks up their ass. Like, I love that. I love that kill. Love that idea. Love that kill. Love the setting as well, even though it's not even like really a cruise ship. Like, yeah. But anyway, cool. All right. So, hey, Friday the 13th fans, a lot of you guys have a lot of reverence for Part 8, and we didn't shit on it. So, maybe we're not that bad. But if you're a fan of Part 9, I'm sorry, because Jason Goes to Hell, the beginning of the New Line Cinema era of Jason Voorhees. And let me just say, sorry, Mark. Sorry, Christian. I'm sorry, everybody that loves this movie. What a way to butt fuck the franchise from the very beginning, New Line. I'll say this. I love the opening of this movie. Kind of throws you for a loop. You're kind of like, oh, we got this, hot chick in the shower at the camp. Like, okay, we're throwing it back old school. Oh, holy shit. Like, the fucking, SWAT team is there. And they explode Jason, and I'm pretty sure he yells. I'm pretty sure he's like, oh, which kind of weird. But, and then from that point forward, there's some cool stuff about this movie. I like the Jason burgers. I think that's a nice touch. Some okay characters. Could have done without the whole baby subplot. Really, what? Get a sneak, surprise cameo by the Kandarian dagger. It's pretty awesome. Because he's a Deadite, according to Adam Marcus. But Holy shit, dude. I do not like this movie. I don't. Demon Slug Jason transferring from body to body. Why'd you even bring Kane Hodder back when he's got maybe 2 or 3 minutes of screen time? Because it's not even really Jason the whole time. It's more of like an entity that's possessing people. Yeah, dude. I don't like this movie. It's my least favorite Friday the 13th movie. I find it largely boring. I don't even feel like it's a Jason movie. I don't think I'm wrong in saying that either. Not a fan. Jaden, where are you at? Oh, shit. I'll give it 1 star. I'll give it 1 out of 5.
Man.
I don't
All
like
right.
this movie, but go ahead.
Fair enough, dude. This is a movie that is definitely one of the most hated in the franchise. I'm not there, but I'm not a part of the like appreciation club it's gotten over the past couple of years. I'm kind of in the middle because I just think it's okay. Like I don't think it's egregiously bad, but I think that's also because I never felt strongly about the Friday the 13th movies where I'm like, oh, these are so sacred, you can't ruin these. Like, I don't give a shit. It's Jason's goofy as hell. These movies are goofy. I think this is the Friday the 13th that feels most like a fan film. And that makes sense because Adam Marcus was very young and he is very much a fan of the series. So it does. There are parts I like. All the scenes in the diner are funny because the people that own the diner are great. There's some really good gore. Like when the dude's melting and his guts are there's some gross shit in this movie that I love. But maybe more than any other Friday the 13th, this is the most fantastical and the most bizarre, and not in a good way. Like Creighton Duke or whatever, just doesn't make any fucking sense.
No, and he's like a fan favorite, and I don't get it. He grates on me. I don't like him.
I don't either. I think he should not be in little girl in a pink dress putting a hot dog through a donut. I don't know what the fuck he's yapping about, but that was crazy. The opening's cool. I wish that we got to see more of that, Jason, because the look is really unique.
I wish we just got to see more of the lady, the SWAT team lady. We should have just seen more of her.
That's sure. It has one of the best final ending kind of post-credity MCU type shit ever with Freddy's glove.
Yeah, I gotta shout that out. I did not mention that, and that was a really, really great tease. It was.
Yeah. It's epic. It's just too bad it came a decade later, but at least we got it.
Same. I came a decade later.
It's this is probably a 3-star for me, to be honest, because I do like it a bit. There's good parts. I don't hate it, but I think it's slightly better than average. So.
Okay, you guys heard that. Jaden is claiming to be above average. I'd say it's probably closer to 3, but Oh no, we're not talking about stars.
Yeah.
Anyway, so look, man, Jason Goes to Hell, though, dude. I know a lot of people like the whole attempted Evil Dead connection, but don't let anybody tell you that was just a nice little homage. No, Adam Marcus literally said, "Oh, he's a Deadite." That was my explanation for it, is that he's a Deadite. I dig that.
Yeah.
And that would make a little more sense too. The body hopping entity, I could get behind that. But again, like you said, it was very evident this was a young filmmaker that was kind of just throwing everything at the wall.
Yeah.
And was a big fan. Not so dissimilar to Halloween 6, a young filmmaker that was a really big fan that wrote the script. He wanted to respect all the lore and also go in different places. I just think Halloween 6 is a far better movie. Part of that is because the director of that movie, love or hate Joe Chappelle, he's a better director than Adam Marcus, guys. Let's call a spade a spade. Anyway, and you actually have Michael Myers in the movie, not Demon Slug Michael Myers. So I understand why people are big fans of this one. I would say this is probably the most heavy metal. If I could use it's the heavy metal Friday movie. It just is. You either get it or you don't. And I guess
Yeah.
I'm just one of the few that doesn't. I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea.
Before
But
before we move on, quick question: what do you think about them adding a completely new lore 9 movies in?
I mean, how is that any different than Freddy's Dead, Halloween 6? All these series do it. Hellraiser Bloodline. You get multiple sequels in, and in order to elongate a franchise, you have to try to come up with new stuff to explain certain things. And it doesn't always work. God, no. As much as I like Halloween 6, this is my closest comparative. It makes no sense, like logically. I feel like it's the same way here. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I can respect the effort. Like I definitely can. Same thing in Freddy's Dead. Freddy actually lived at Nancy's house before Nancy lived there, and he's got a long lost daughter. And it's like, what the fuck? So I feel like all these series do that, or at least they did back then. Because not every series can be a front to back telenovela like Saw.
Right.
Saw's just fantastic in that way. It's a rare butterfly. But
yeah,
I respect the attempt. I'm never, ever, it would be totally disingenuous of me to shit on them for that attempt while then also making excuses for other franchises doing the exact same thing. It was just a product of its time. And I know that New Line, it was their era of Jason. Jason Takes Manhattan was a flop. It just was. Nobody cared. It got bad reviews, didn't make a lot of money. And New Line knew they had to reset. So this is how they, wanted to reset the franchise by totally butt fucking the lore and doing something. Anyway, yeah. But Jaden. My favorite Friday the 13th movie when I was a preteen. The one that really was the start of the New Line era, in my opinion. Jason X. A movie that sat on a shelf for over a year. After it was finished, over a year.
Yeah.
And they finally put the thing out after everybody torrented the movie illegally already. So it didn't really make any money either. But let me just tell you something, buddy. I have talked about this on my channel. I think a year or two ago did like a retrospective on Jason X specifically. And I talked about my history with this movie, how I loved this movie as a young kid. I loved it so much. And then as a young adult, I was like, this is really stupid. And then as I got into my 20s, I was like, yeah, that's kind of the fucking point, dude. This movie rules.
Yeah.
Jason X, I mean, I'm just gonna say it. Might be my favorite Kane Hodder performance as Jason. Might be. I love how goofy this movie is. It's totally self-aware. It knows it's goofy. It knows it does not have the money to deliver the visuals that the script calls for, but it doesn't give a shit. It goes for it. It's like, fuck it. Uber Jason, awesome.
Yeah.
Don't care what anybody says. Awesome. If you disagree, you are wrong. One of my favorite kills in the entire series is in this movie, mainly because it's just hilarious, where he's beating the shit out of the chicks in the sleeping bags up against the trees. I laughed so hard at that as a kid. Yeah. There's good kills in this movie. The dry ice kill is one of the best kills in this series, period. It just is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really goofy characters in this. Like Todd Farmer's character sucks in this movie. And like, he's also really enjoyable. I don't know. The android that her nipples just won't stay on. She just wants to be a real boy. But she kind of turns into a badass and I dig her too.
Yeah.
Jason, this is the highest body count in the Friday series. Cause yes, I'm counting the space station exploding. Fuck all y'all. Dude, this movie rules. I really don't know what else to say. Like, this movie is called Jason X, and the poster shows you it's going to be in outer space, and Jason is going to get a Terminator-like upgrade. You better know what the fuck you're getting yourself in for before you watch this movie, Because if you're like, that movie is stupid. Yeah. Okay, it did its job then. It's stupid, but it's probably the most fun Friday movie. I mean, I love this movie. I love this movie. This is a... I want to let nostalgia cloud me here.
Do it, dude. I did.
It's a 4.5. Fuck it. Jason X.
Nice.
Fuck y'all.
Oh yeah. First of all, look at that shit. Beautiful. Jason
some
X-Men.
of us are paying for attorneys. We can't go buy all the new physical media releases as much as I wanted it. But
that's fair. Yeah, man, Jason X. So I have a complicated history with this one. I did watch it a lot as a kid, but I really hated it as a kid. I thought it was too goofy. I couldn't vibe with it, but over the years, it's definitely softened on me, and I love the campiness of this movie, and it's become like one of my favorite ones to rewatch. And I don't typically like space horror movies. I find them kind of boring a lot of the times, but Jason X is fun top to bottom. There's still some cringe, like when she says this sucks on so many levels. Like my skin crawls every time I hear that. But there's so much weird, wacky, hilarious shit, like KB and her turning into like a female Terminator. The nipple twisting, like with the professor. Like I know Nick likes that.
My nipples are very sensitive, but I don't like when people touch my nipples. But
you heard it, ladies.
Yeah.
No, yeah, this
ladies.
I'm not gonna go at 4.5 like you, but I think I'm gonna go 3.5 because it's such a blast, dude. And Uber Jason is, I think if there weren't the fire stunts and all that bullshit in part 7, this is my second favorite Kane Hodder performance because he's awesome in this.
Yeah. This movie shits on 7, dude. Like it does. It poops all over it.
I agree. I just think that Kane Hodder performance is slightly better. Yeah, dude. I'm trying to think of whether I like this one more or some of the other ones. We'll get to it though. But yeah, Jason X.
We're not at ranking yet. All right, save that.
No, we got 2 more. Yeah.
Well, then we get to one that we've already talked about in the Nightmare retrospective. But as we did with that one, I want to talk about this more from a Jason point of view, and that's Freddy versus Jason. And I said in our Nightmare retrospective that I personally felt like that Freddy versus Jason, aside from the fact that Freddy doesn't get hardly any kills, he literally gets 1 in that movie. Aside from that, I think it's a pretty good Nightmare movie because Freddy is really the focus. He's the driving force of the narrative. Robert gives a really good performance in the movie. I love the look of Freddy in that movie. But from the Jason lens, this isn't a very good Friday the 13th movie. And there's a lot of reasons for that. It has a lot of the tenets of Friday the 13th, right? Lots of boobies, lots of dumb kids, lots of kills. Oh, yeah, Friday the 13th movie, right? Here's the problem. Ken Kersinger, he's not a good Jason Voorhees. He's just not. I don't really particularly like the look of Jason. I don't like the performance of Jason in this movie. Way too stoic. I get it. Jason has the least personality of the big 3, and just inherently he does. But This is like the least emoting Jason Voorhees we've ever had. Part of it is not even Ken's fault. It's more so Ronnie Yu's fault because he didn't have reverence for the character. He didn't understand the character and the lore, so he didn't really care. Yeah. A lot of the Jason lore you get in this movie, all of a sudden being scared of water, it's not a good Friday the 13th movie. Freddy versus Jason is a fun movie. And if you view it from the lens of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, it's good. But from the Friday the 13th lens, it's not a good Friday the 13th movie. I can't remember how many stars I gave this on Nightmare. I think I gave it 3, maybe 3.5. Whatever I did there, I'll stick with that here. But I will just add the caveat that if Freddy wasn't in this movie and it was just Jason doing everything that Jason does in this movie and it was his story, this would be like a 1.5 star movie. It really would. I think Freddy makes this movie. I really do.
Yeah. Honestly, I totally forgot that you had said that, but as I was watching it last night, like, first of all, I've said it last time, but this is one of my favorite comfort horror movies. It's one of the ones that got me into horror. I love it. Like, it's one of those nostalgic, like, 5-star movies for me. But as I was watching it, I was thinking exactly what you said, and I totally forgot you said it. This is a bad Friday the 13th. Like, this is a really good Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and I think it showed that Nightmare on Elm Street could have worked in the 2000s and been awesome. But Jason is really lame in this movie. There's a couple, like, his scene in the cornfield, that's awesome, but that's kind of it. Like, beyond the fights, because those are fun. But I feel like you could have put any slasher character in the spot that Jason was in, and it doesn't change anything. Like, there's some fan servicey moments where you're at Crystal Lake, but that could have been Haddonfield or whatever the fuck, that could have been anything. There's just not a lot of good Jason content in here. I agree the performance isn't that great. The look's very milquetoast. So although it's a very highly rated movie for me personally, it's probably towards the bottom of my Friday the 13th films. So
yeah, I just don't think this is a Good Friday movie. And some people might be going, well, then how could you be much more positive on the Nightmare retrospective? And like I said, I feel like I quantified that pretty well. Like, I really do. I think that it depends on the lens that you're looking at this movie through. I really do. And that's kind of the point of a versus movie. I mean, go down the list of versus movies, like Alien versus Predator. Pretty decent Predator movie. Not a very good Alien movie. AVP Requiem just sucks balls across the board. Godzilla versus Kong. Pretty good Godzilla movie. Not a great Kong movie. They try to make it Kong's story, but Godzilla's really the scene stealer in that movie because he's a fucking badass. But the reason is, like, you have to view versus movies from different lenses. And I'm trying to do that here to kind of give credit where credit is due in the Nightmare side of things, but also ding it where most of Freddy versus Jason's complaints come from the inclusion of the character of Jason Voorhees. Like, they really do. The cast is pretty solid. Like, the story to bring these two together, pretty good actually for a versus movie. It's a lot of fun. But if this were Jason's movie that Jason were anchoring, no thanks. Not very good in that regard. So then we get to the very short-lived, and thankfully so, Platinum Dunes era of Friday the 13th. Now, let me just tell you, Jaden, when this movie came out, I was 15. Went and saw this movie in theaters. I was 14. And, in theaters, I was like, oh, it's fun, didn't love it, but I had fun with it. I can just tell you from opening night, I had the most muted response for this one out of the big three remakes. I knew I liked Nightmare's remake more from the very first viewing. I knew I liked Halloween's remake more from the very first viewing. This is one of those classic cases of a movie peaking at the very beginning, and you're like, oh, hell yeah, this is going to rule. And then after that opening, and we get introduced to the new characters and the setup and everything like that, I'm like, yeah, this isn't touching the opening. It's just not. Like, it's not touching the opening, and it doesn't. It really, really doesn't. I think that there's great boobs in this movie. I'll never take that away. It's Friday the 13th. You have to talk about the boobies. There's good boobs in this movie. There's some really good kills in this movie. There really, really is. But I'm going to go on record as to say that this is the worst cast of characters in any of the Friday the 13th movies. Just is. From some that are just straight up unlikable, some that are uninteresting, some that are maybe show some signs of promise, but then don't get enough to do and are really just kind of forgettable at the end of the day. Whatever it may be. There's a litany of of different complaints I have for the cast of characters in this movie. But I can't lie that if you wanted a movie with good kills, good TNA, and a pretty damn good Jason look, just going to be honest, the look in this movie is pretty damn good. Then this movie will deliver for you. But if you're looking for more meat on the bone there, it's just not here with Friday the 13th. I really feel like I can't believe that Marcus Nispel directed this one, because he also directed TCM 03. And I feel like his heart was in it with TCM. I don't even know what to call this. This just seems like a job. It's very much plays like I was hired to do a job. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of this movie. I never have been. I'll be kinder though and give it 2 stars, because I do think, like I said, it's got great kills and some good TNA and a good Jason. So I think it deserves 2.
Yeah. This one's interesting. So it came out when I was 8 or 9. So I didn't go see it in the actual theater, but I remember watching it on VOD very soon after. And it's like kind of forgettable in a lot of ways, I think. I think out of all the big horror slasher remakes, it's the most soulless. And people might say that about Nightmare because people hate that movie, but I think there's a lot more heart and thought put into that one, to be honest. It's really just Rooney Mara that has no soul.
There absolutely is more heart. I mean, they add the advent of micronaps. They add the advent, at least for the first 2/3 of the movie, of making you think that Freddy might have been innocent. Yeah, there's definitely more effort in that movie, 100%.
Yeah, this is very paint by the numbers. Jason's good. The kills are good. I like Chewie, like the stoner dude. I think he's pretty fun. But again, not like an all-timer.
That's Aaron Yu.
Yeah.
He was in Nightmare on Elm Street remake as well.
Oh wow, I forgot about that.
He's the Asian guy she finds the blog of when she's trying to find people that she went to school with that were alive. He's also in Disturbia, and I love him in Disturbia.
Yeah. This is a 3-star for me because I don't think it's bad. I think it's serviceable as a slasher film, and I think just because it's a 2000s slasher, that it has that warm, fuzzy feeling for me a bit, just because I'm so nostalgic about that era. But it's definitely the worst of the big slasher remakes. There's not really much more to say about this one, dude. Like, everybody says it because it's true. The opening is the peak. Like, it doesn't get any better. It's just lame after that. There's not much to the movie after that.
That's my favorite kill in the entire franchise is in the opening sequence, the burning alive in the sleeping bag.
So good, dude.
I think it is the most brutal kill in this entire series. And yeah.
Although Stupendous Tits is pretty great. I'm not going to lie.
Well, they're stupendous too. I won't even lie.
Also, this is like a quick little note, but so I have the 4Ks, right, for Jason Goes to Hell and this remake and Jason X. Something I found kind of interesting, both of those other movies have introductions by somebody making the movie, but the remake doesn't have Marcus Nispel introducing it, but he's doing the TCM 4Ks coming out. So I don't know if he doesn't give a shit about this movie or not. I don't really know his opinions on it, but I could see him not caring because it doesn't seem like he cared making it.
Like I said, man, it just seems like it was a job. I think he put a lot of heart and soul into TCM, and it shows. That movie is like, it's a remake, but loosely a remake. Like it really, really is. This one, it's not necessarily a remake. I mean,
it's not a remake,
but it's, I don't know. Well, I just don't. Maybe he didn't get the character of Jason. Yeah, like maybe. But I really think what it was he probably had some kind of deal with Platinum Dunes. And after the success of TCM, they were like, you're going to do Friday the 13th for us. And he was probably like, okay, yay. And I also think he knows that, like, this is not a fan favorite. You'll find defenders of this movie. Trust me. I'm sure there will be some in the comments.
Yeah.
But this is not a fan favorite. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. This is a movie that pretty regularly gets responses from the fan base. So, yeah, I don't know. But that brings us to the future of the Friday the 13th series.
Yeah.
Now, we know that Crystal Lake is about to start shooting next week. We know that they're aiming to have it out next year at some point. That'll be the next bit of Friday the 13th material we get. I know a lot of fans at this point will take whatever they can get, so they're not going to bitch and moan about it. And you know, I don't either. Whatever we can get is great. But, you know, it's almost hard to even pontificate on the future of this series because you just don't know if there even is a future. I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
But it's hard to even start to talk or think about it because there's so many hoops to jump through. And for all we don't know what we're going to get with Crystal Lake yet, guys. We really don't. It could be a show where you don't see Jason Voorhees, adult Jason with the hockey mask. That could happen. Like, so we'll see. We'll see. But I would say of the big three, the future for Friday the 13th is probably the bleakest. And some people might go, how can you say that? It's the only one of the big three right now that has an active project in development. I mean, I guess technically it does, but we don't know what that project is going to look like, first of all. Second of all, it's the only only one of the big three that has 1,500 legal entanglements. So I just think it's the bleakest of the big three. I can tell you guys right now that Nightmare is coming sooner than you think. There may or may not have been some resolution there recently. So expect that to come back sooner rather than later. Halloween is still something that is, I mean, Malik is talking to people weekly about stuff. And the last trilogy made $500 million. Like, there'll be another Halloween before you know it. But Friday, who knows? But I don't know. What do you think about the future?
Yeah, man. So, and this is going to sound kind of maybe mean or pessimistic, but I don't really know if I care all that much about the future of Friday at this point. Like, I think a lot of what makes Friday fun is the period the movies came out, and I can't really see one now being super great or charming. I could just see it being another generic 2020 slasher film, if we even do get a movie. And I know as of yesterday for you guys, but today for us, there were tweets sent out by, I believe, the people behind the Jason universe, whatever, saying that Friday the 13th this year they're going to announce some stuff, news about the show, as well as maybe other things. But with what they've given us so far, that could be like coasters, you know, like it.
It's gonna be a hand towel.
Yeah, or like a mobile arcade video game of Jason. It's gonna be some bullshit. It's not gonna be a movie, so I wouldn't get excited for that. But yeah, man, the future, I'm 50-50 on it. I'll go see it if we ever get another movie. I'll probably watch Crystal Lake, even though I fucking hate watching TV series when I have to, because they can be a slog.
Yeah.
But I hope we get good shit. I'm not hopeful that we will, but it would be nice for bigger fans of the series than I am. And I still love the movies, but it's not my favorite.
Did you ever watch any of the Friday the 13th TV series?
No, I know that the original series from like the early 80s or whatever was like an anthology series, right?
Yeah.
Like Jason's not actually in it?
Like Freddy's Nightmares. Freddy's Nightmares had Robert Englund here and there, but it was largely an anthology series too. But yeah, there was a Friday the 13th series that did not take off.
I'll watch it eventually because I am curious. Honestly, dude, the best thing we've gotten out of the Friday franchise since Jason X is probably the video game, because that video game, when it came out, was peak. That is like the best asymmetrical horror game that has ever existed, and it was so fucking fun. And it's sad that it's dead now, but that's what happens with these games.
That's what happens with Jason. I mean, let's just be
Jason.
real.
Yeah.
All right, Jaden. Well, here we are. There's 12 movies to rank. I
dude.
want to hear your ranking on the Friday the 13th franchise.
All right. Well, let's piss people off right from the start. My 12th place is the original Friday the 13th.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, buddy. I just think this is the lamest of all of them, dude. I'm sorry. And even the best part, which is Betsy Palmer, that ending is drawn out so much. I will admit, I didn't mention it before. It has one of the best jump scares ever in horror, so I will give it that. That's a point. But yeah, it's just whatever, man.
Sloth jumping out of the water.
Yeah, it's Nick at the Beach.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
11th, I'm gonna go the remake, the reboot, Friday the 13th, 09. Again, as we said, it's just kind of a boring movie. There's not much charm or anything special about it beyond the beginning. But I think that beginning is better than anything that is in the original Friday the 13th. And I think the performance is better than what we get from Betsy Palmer, even though she's iconic in her own way. That's such a good Jason. Number 10, I'm going to go Jason Goes to Hell. There are bits that are charming about this movie, but it's so nonsensical. And for a movie that's so ridiculous, it actually is shockingly boring for a lot of it. But there are things that save it from being mediocre for me. After that would be The New Blood. And I think this one has the edge over the others because it's like right in that sweet spot for me with Jason, which is 2 through 8, which I think is where most of the charm of this series comes from. And again, those fights between Tina and Jason are so cool. Up next, even though if we were just going based off of movies, this would be my number 1. But up next, I'm doing Freddy versus Jason. So, as we said before, it's not a very good Jason movie, but the actual like fighting part of it, Freddy and Jason, is super fun. And that is partially because it is Jason and it's this big hulking menace who's, fucking up Freddy or getting fucked up by Freddy. And I just think it's more fun.
Getting fucked up the what by Freddy?
Yeah, buddy. No, this
Right in the stink starfish.
stinks. Hell yeah. Chocolate starfish, baby.
That's right.
It's more fun than the ones before, but it's not good as a Jason movie, so whatever. After that, I like all these movies, and I kind of feel bad for putting this one at the bottom, but Jason X. We talked about our love for this movie. I just don't think it's as good as the ones that come after it, for me. After that would be The New Blood. A lot of fun side characters. I think I just have more fun with this one than Jason X, even though Jason X is super goofy and weird. I like all... What? What are you turning your head at, bitch? Say it.
You said The New Blood?
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh my god, The New Beginning. I'm so sorry.
Okay. All right.
New Beginning. Because I said The New Blood earlier.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. The New Beginning. Sorry. That's what's next. After that,
A
Jason
new
Takes
beginning.
Manhattan. A new beginning. Whatever.
Yeah. New.
A lot of news in this fucking series. All right, Jason Takes Manhattan. Jason Takes a Boat Ride. That's my next one. Again, probably because of nostalgia, but I love all the parts in New York. I even love the parts on the boat. I love the shitty little Jason at the end where he's puking up shit and he looks awful. For some reason, I love that. And then, number 4, The Final Chapter, which that might get heat from people because this is people's favorite. I do love it. I still love it. I just think there's a lot more filler than these ones that are going to come after. And the ending doesn't save it for me. Number 3. Number 3, I'm going to go Friday the 13th, Part 2. So, we talked about this movie before. It's the first film in the franchise. It's actually really good. Sackhead Jason's great. Ginny's great. There's a lot of good suspense scenes in it, like when she's under the bed and she pisses her pants, and then when she pretends to be his mom. That's such an iconic scene in the franchise. But I think Number 2 is a lot more suspenseful and the scariest Friday the 13th movie, and that's Friday the 13th 3D Part 3. This movie is so good, dude, and I'm so glad that on this last rewatch, I loved it as much as I did, because I just didn't remember it being as fucking creepy and gnarly as it is. But this is my favorite Jason, like, by far. And then number 1, Part 6, Jason Lives. I think by far the most fun Friday the 13th, the most charming. I love all the comedy in it. I love Zombie Jason. I love Tommy. It's everything I wanted out of this franchise put into one movie. So that's my ranking.
That's an interesting one.
I feel like
that's an interesting one.
I feel like it's mostly fair. Number 12 is what's really going to get people angry.
You know, let them be angry. We are here to entertain and or piss off. Yeah. All right. So for me at number 12 is going to be Jason Goes to Hell. It is easily my least favorite Friday the 13th movie. And I just won't back off of that. Maybe as the years go on, I'll find a little more enjoyment out of it. Maybe, maybe not. I've watched it a number of times and it's just still where it is for me. Number 11 is The New Blood. Again, like I said, interesting ideas, but I feel like ultimately it comes across as a half-baked concept. Similarly to The Dream Child, I think that if they had taken a little bit more time with this movie before putting it before cameras, it could have been better. Unfortunately, they didn't do that in the 80s when movies were a big hit. So we got what we got. Number 10 is going to be the remake. Now, I had this as my least favorite a couple years ago, but I can find more enjoyment, even if it's just in the first 15 minutes, than I do in pretty much anything in The New Blood or Jason Goes to Hell for that matter. So I'll put it at number 10, and I feel like that's fair. This is where it gets really tricky for me. Because as a Friday the 13th movie, I will agree as well, and I'll put Freddy vs. Jason at 9. Again, looking at it from the Nightmare lens, it would have been higher. But I have to do it from the Jason lens in this retrospective, and I'm putting it at 9 as a Jason movie. Now, this is when it gets harder than my dick. So, I think where I'm at now is, all the Paramount movies aside from 7 and Jason X. So let's start weeding them out. At number 8, where am I going to go here, Jaden? Where am I going to go?
Are you?
At number 8, I'm going to go Friday the 13th, the original. I had it higher in years past, and I still really enjoy this movie. I feel like I was a lot fairer to it than Jaden for sure. But when it comes to nostalgia and the fun I have watching these movies, I have fun with all the other ones more. I really do. Everything above this one, I have more fun with. So, no. Number 8, I'll do Jason Takes Manhattan. The original is a better movie. So number 8 is Jason Takes Manhattan. Number 7 is Friday the 13th, 1980. Then at number 6, I'll go A New Beginning. Right smack dab in the middle. I flirted with putting this in the top 5, but I probably would have pissed too many Friday fans off if I did that. And if I'm being honest with myself, every other movie above this is better than this movie objectively. So I'll put this one at number 6. Top 5. Look, man, number 5 is going to be Jason Lives. Really fun movie. Like the cast in this movie.
No. I think you froze.
Okay. Am I back?
Hello? You're back. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. It's not my favorite tone for a Friday movie. So if I had to be honest, I'll put this one at 5. It's really good, but it's still not one of my go-tos. But I have to give credit where it's due. At number 4, I'm gonna put The Final Chapter. I know this is a top 3 for a lot of people. They love this movie, and rightfully so. It's a very good movie. It's in my top 5. I'm not disparaging it, but my top 3 are my top 3, and ain't nobody changing them. And at number 3 is going to be Jason X. I adore this movie. I refuse to back down off of that. If you don't like it, well, you're wrong. So I'm sorry that you're wrong. But, Jason X fucking rules. At number 2, and yes, it's stupid. It's meant to be stupid, damn it. At number 2 is going to be aptly Friday the 13th Part 2. When I saw this as a young child, I thought, yeah, this is the peak of Friday the 13th. Until a teenager, when I saw Part 3, and I said, no, this is the peak of Friday the 13th. I think Part 3 gets everything right. Everything right. But most importantly, I think it gets Jason Voorhees and the final girl right. And if you know anything about me when it comes to horror movies and franchises specifically, that really matters to me. The final girl and the antagonist. And I think that Friday the 13th Part 3 does it better than all the other ones. Now, in summation, to wrap up this retrospective, I mean, I'm not going to speak for Jaden, but I will just say that Friday the 13th isn't in my top 3 of horror franchises. I love and respect the character of Jason just like everybody else does. However, I feel like even the highest of highs in this series don't touch the highest of highs in Nightmare or Halloween. I even think I love Friday the 13th Part 3, but Friday the 13th Part 3 has nothing on the original Halloween, on Freddy's Revenge, on Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 for me, on Nightmare, Dream Warriors, like even the peaks of Friday the 13th still pale in comparison to the peaks of the other franchises. So while I respect it and I have a lot of love for it, it's not one of my personal favorites. So maybe that's why my ranking is kind of wonky. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Friday the 13th is interesting because I agree. I don't think even the best movies in the series aren't really all-timer horror movies for me. But it's very comfy. Like, it's a very fun series to rewatch and watch a lot of the movies.
CUMFY. Comfy.
Yeah, comfy. I don't know, man. It's a fun series to rewatch. It's very comfortable. I have a lot of nostalgia for it. They're fun for what they are, but they're not great. It kind of reminds me of like Final Destination in that way, where I don't think any of them are truly some of the greatest horror movies of all time, but
you shut your whore mouth, Final Destination 2, but whatever.
To each their own. But it's not in my top 3 either. Maybe definitely top 10, but I don't know about top 5 even. So, yeah.
I'd have to think about it. For me, it's definitely Halloween. Yeah, we'll do an episode on that.
Yeah, that could be a fun discussion.
Yeah. Well, that's it, guys. That is our Friday the 13th franchise retrospective. It is Friday the 13th as you are listening to this, unless you're listening on Patreon tonight, the night that we recorded it. So to all of you watching on day of release, happy Friday the 13th. I hope it's not an unlucky day for you. I hope it's not an unlucky day for us. I hope that the news that we get today isn't some total nothing burger of a Jason butt plug that the Jason universe is putting out or something. But whatever it may be, I'm sure the fans will be lining up in droves for that butt plug. Yeah. But yeah, guys, it was really fun to look back on this series. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Very soon, we're going to be doing Jaws. Very soon, we're going to be doing the Conjuring universe, leading up to the Conjuring 4.
I know what you did last summer.
I know what you did last summer. Yep. In October will be our long-awaited Halloween one. We will be doing that. Don't worry.
We've talked about TCM in August, right? That was going to be big.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yep, that'll be in August. And so
we'll get some other cool shit in between.
We got some cool stuff on the horizon. We'll probably also do Predator, maybe Alien and Predator. Do it as a one big episode. So yeah, it's got some cool stuff coming, guys. But again, I just cannot reiterate enough how much I appreciate all the love and support that you guys have shown me and shown this show. Last episode crossed over 1,000 views, which was really cool. I think the people are starting to watch, and I think they're starting to dig it. And I think that matters. So as long as you guys keep watching, we'll keep doing it. But before we head out, Jaden, you got anything you want to say?
Yeah, man. Just happy Friday the 13th. happy Pride to all of our LGBT friends, listeners, co-hosts like Nick.
I was just about to say, Jaden.
Well, both of us. But no, this has been a ride, man, and it's fun talking about these big series. I had a lot of fun talking about Jason, and I'm ready for the next one, dude.
Yeah,
But yeah. Also follow our Instagram, Podgoblins YT, per usual. But that's it for me.
All right, y'all. Well, that's going to be it for us today at Podgoblins. We enjoyed doing this. We hope you enjoyed listening to it. Leave a like on it. Comment down below your Friday the 13th ranking. I want to hear it. Even though you're probably going to be wrong, I still want to hear it. And never forget, what's a goon to a goblin, y'all?